each and every individual to Engineer Clarity. Hi, my name is Rick Boersma, president of Synergy Solutions, and today we're going to be looking at the story behind the natural law of work your butt off principle, discovered by Alan Stein. Alan, when did you discover this principle in life?
Well, I don't know if I can say that I discovered it, but when I was in my early 20s, I certainly wound up living it.
And what's that story?
Well, I was a construction carpenter on a construction site, and we were building a big concrete building, and my job was concrete form carpenter. So what we do is we build the forms, the plywood and the wood that they pour the concrete into. So it has to be really heavy, and you have to use really heavy materials. And we would carry these big sheets of plywood and these big heavy pieces of lumber around, put them in place, cut them up, and then we would reuse the big pieces of wood, and they would get coated with oil so the concrete didn't stick to them. So it got really heavy after about third or fourth time. And all the guys, and I was a really short, squatty guy, didn't weigh very much, and all the other construction workers, I was probably the smallest. And so we would take two guys to carry around these big sheets of oil-soaked plywood, and they were really heavy. But I would always carry them by myself. So it would take two of these big guys to carry this sheet of plywood, and then I'd be coming along, and I'd be carrying this one piece all by myself. And so I think that I did it because I wanted to show them that even though I was kind of small and scrawny, that I could do just as much work or work harder than they could, actually. And it was really interesting because so I did that and when the job was finished, the way that these construction sites worked at the time was you'd be working on that project, and once that project was over, they would let you go, except for maybe one or two of the really good guys that they kept and would move to the next job. And so this job finished, and they came to me and they said, not only did they want to keep me on, but they wanted to put me into a foreman position, which was pretty interesting.
And why was that interesting, Alan?
Well, because I didn't really didn't even want the job, so I actually turned them down.
And how do you think that's, like, what role, what significance has that had in you being, one of the founders of Tanglewood Conservatories? You build, $1 million conservatories all over the world. You're an international speaker and author. You build these beautiful, just, structure. It's just unbelievable. Why do you think those early experiences in work, how did that form how you think?
Well, I think that when we started the company, when I started out in business, it was a lot harder than I imagined. I'm not sure what I imagined, but I had to work really, really hard. And I remember that I was starting out. I had to sell our products, and I would go around to building sites. And I remember, I hated going up and talking to strangers and trying to convince them to let me show them what we had and all that kind of thing. I really disliked it. And I remember be driving around, and I'd drive to different job sites, one after the other, and I had to go in and I had to talk to the superintendent of the job site and try to get the name of somebody in the office that I could talk about selling our skylights and our sunrooms. And I remember how I would drive around, and there would just be every reason in the world I could come up with not to go to the next job site. And I remember I would have to really push myself and really past way past where I was comfortable or where I wanted to go and where my endurance would take me. But I had to do it because, I had to sell something. Otherwise, I had no job and I had no income and I had a family, and that's what I had to do. And I always remember that sense of pushing myself way harder than I ever realized that I could, or work really far harder than I ever realized that I could work, and that most people never got there.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's where in EC2, Engineered Clarity Community, and the Q&A, the discussion points on each of these natural laws is so powerful because it's connected into the 3 DNAs. And I don't even know where to organize this one. I mean, it's kind of in the DNA it's put in the DNA for life and the natural laws, but it connects into business. It connects into people. And we'll be talking in that section. So if you're not part of Engineered Clarity Community, EC2, you want to do that because it helps us to internalize it, helps us to use our brains the way our brains were created to do, not linear thinking, but to do quantum thinking. And quantum thinking is the internalization of what Alan shared. And so often we think, oh yeah, I'm a hard worker. Oh yeah, I'm a hard worker. Yes, I'm a hard worker. Until we get next to somebody like my dad. He passed away a few years back. And man, that guy, physical labor, whoa. I mean, even into his late 60s, early 70s, if you're laying block next to him, I mean, guys in their 20s would be like, my gracious, I can't even keep up to you, Mr. Boersma. My mom worked all the way up until she passed away, really super hard physical workers. But when we talk about work in the quantum thinking world and the psychology of people, it's not just work, physical labor, like Alan was talking about, mental labor. So we're going to be going into the Q&A for the EC2. EC2, again, if you're not part of that community, join that community. There are some amazing things that we learn about really life and about success in every area of our life and the natural laws and how to internalize these, like how they cause us to change the way we think. Thanks so much, Alan. Appreciate it. Look forward to the next time. Everybody, remember, we can always accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.